What's going on, everybody? HiiiScholar here, clocking in again. Another day of this summer school thing I'm trying to do. Thank y'all for checking in with me. It's kind of impromptu, so I don't expect too many to come on in. And I went back and forth on whether I should do this as a live show or should I actually pre-record this one. So I decided to do a live show. I got the time now. Other than some unforeseen events here, I actually had a car find its way into some floodwater and flash flooding here in the area. But such is life, man. That stuff happens, and you take care of it as it comes. Today's title, I'm going to be talking a little bit about hip hop culture. It's not something I talk a lot about on this channel. However, hip hop culture, the image and motivation of Black boys and men were a part of something that I studied in graduate school. So I want to make sure I tip my hat into this one, and it's something that personally I'm passionate about. But before we get into that, I just want to give a couple shout outs. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to BGS, who has continued to support my channel and my production. And I think as a nod to him, I need to make sure I'm continuing to be productive. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this today. Shout out to Dr. Thunder. I've been enjoying his podcast. I've had opportunity to be around early in the morning to catch him, I believe at 8 o'clock, 8:30 to about 11:30. So he still maybe on his channel doing his thing. So if you get a chance to hop over to BGS or to Dr. Thunder's channel, please do that in support of them as well. So where do I want to start? So we all know over the past couple weeks about the hip hop beef that has really been capturing us all, going back and forth between hip hop artist Kendrick Lamar and Drake. And it's really been something that is, as I said, captivated us all, especially in the kind of lyrical back and forth and what it really means to the culture. So one part of this conversation where we have to start is this place of culture, and hip hop culture more recently has gotten some historical reframing, some historical contention around who was there and who has had an impact on crafting the image of hip hop. And I believe that this battle has brought it back to the forefront. And as you see in the image on this video, if it's not there now, I will definitely replace it. But there's been a lot of analysis around this hip hop beef, around the lyrics, around what it means to the culture. And I found what is missing is Kendrick Lamar is not just talking about the culture broadly. These are two Black men in senses of the word. One whose parents are from Chicago, whose probably grandparents or great-grandparents are from Mississippi in the American South, and another who has a amalgamation of heritage that parts of it are rooted in the Black American South as well. And I really think that people have been so captivated by this kind of broad flattening of Black culture. Like Kendrick Lamar is kind of replanting the flag of Black culture, and making sure that it is authentic, making sure that it is not only representing all the bling and shining lights that we've become accustomed to seeing in hip hop culture, but also represents growth, represents a kind of maturation that hip hop should be going through, that every musical style that we've had before now has gone through, starting as a kind of youth culture and then maturing into a culture that is, more dynamic as it got more popular, and then shifting. So I think that is something that we're trying to understand. We're understanding is something worth fighting for. But I think what is missing in this conversation is that it's particularly around the Black boys and men. Kendrick Lamar is fighting for those who bear the most criticism and the brunt of what it means to be hip hop culture. So Kendrick Lamar and Drake are not too far away from my age. We were kind of coming into mid adulthood, and we remember, especially if you were here in the American South, or and where Kendrick is from, in Southern California and regions, where this was not a popular culture necessarily. This was not something that, if you dressed like hip hop, if you carried yourself in a hip hop fashion, that you were seen as something to glow and glorify. So we remember the criticisms and the laws and policies and ordinances that changed around us to enforce that we should not be doing this, that hip hop is not something we should be doing. So the contentious part that we have been, dealing with while discussing this beef has been the place that Black boys and men play in hip hop culture, and how what's really being cosplayed in this time that Drake has been a very popular artist has been the image of Black boys and men. Black boys and men who are Black American, who have been here for generations and had to endure the oppression and marginalization of being in America. And this is what has steeped and cultivated and brewed what we see in Kendrick Lamar. And you just can't replicate that. As much as that's what he's been saying throughout many of his lyrics. Like, you just can't replicate what we've had to endure and continue to endure. You just can't glean just the glitz and glamour and the fame and then recluse back to different lifestyles. And I think that's at the crux of this battle. The battle is not necessarily just for this broad Black culture, this broad hip hop culture that a lot of us, love and support, but it's really the Black male image, the Black American male image that we see being just taken on and worn to make money. And a part of this conversation is it's not a monolith, and he's done a great job of trying to show it's not one-sided. It's not. In his music, he even said, I haven't tried to be just kind of a one-sided artist, even though that's who you have been. I have tried to not only show my vulnerabilities as much as I tried to show my bravado. I've tried to also show growth, and that's something that me as a person who's been around hip hop all my life, I appreciate, because we didn't see that in the future of hip hop, that we have artists that we would just get trapped in our 20s and kind of the party lifestyle and kind of that fun hip hop. Everybody talks about how the message is lost, but let's be keen on what's happening around us. And that's where this conversation really should be. The conversation really should be, and people are avoiding it because it has to do with Black boys and men. Excuse me. This conversation around Black boys and men and our place in the culture. That's really, we in this current dynamic 2024, we would like to think of the culture as being everybody, and everybody's had an equal place in the culture. Everybody's had equal contributions to the culture. There's been contention in hip hop research around why Black boys and men are the face of hip hop. Part of the reason that has been the case is because we are the people who have been policed around being a part of this culture. We were facing mass incarceration as a result of ingratiating ourselves in this hip hop culture in a way that society broadly did not see fit for everyone around them. There was no excuse for hip hop culture captivating us all, despite what was going on around us with it when it comes to deindustrialization, the lack of opportunity and resource in our communities. So hip hop in my era, through all its criticism, was a reflection of post-Reaganism and post-Reagan economics that if you were not here, you do not understand why hip hop has to be as complex as it does. And a Black American man from Compton, California, raised by parents from Chicago who were probably, again, I'm speculating on this part, but probably raised by parents or grandparents from Mississippi, Alabama, or somewhere in the American South. That is a generational experience that comes through in the music. And even taking offense to the conversation around slavery, our music has always been popular, and once was just called slave music and race music. And still around that time, it still was, broadly centralized around the image of the men. I don't want to undersell, in the popular culture, the place of Black women artists. However, the image of Black male artists in popular culture has been something that has had to be fought for, and contending with the stereotypes that come and caricatures that come with, being in America. The brute, the savage, the zip coon, the kind of, you're not really fit, you are playing up a part. The Sambo, these are all images that when we come into being, some semblance of fame, we have to contend with this, not only because of society's impact on us, but our own kind of internalized bias. And we've seen that in Kendrick Lamar's music. And again, this is kind of a attempt of a more, hip hop culture and hip hop research, but also Black male studies, understanding of what Kendrick Lamar is really standing for. We still are trying to figure out what the Black male image in America is going to be and should be. But we don't need any more detractors or those who are going to cosplay the absolute, the parts of us that we are still trying to disentangle. We are trying to reflect on the steps forward we have made, as well as some of the steps back in the process of living here in America. And I think that how Drake occupies space in hip hop culture, pretending to be, or being his version of, I'll say it that way, being his version of a Black American man from different regionalities and localities of America, is something that I'm glad that we're taking issue with. This is a time to reclaim, the image that we have, and make sure that it's as nuanced as any other identity. This conversation really comes out of seeing so much intersectional identity politics conversation around the beef, but no one actually calling out Kendrick Lamar as a Black American man, and what he's trying to really stand for. Yes, the culture and what the culture is saying, but particularly in the culture, there is a cadre of black men who want to make sure, good, bad, or indifferent, it is Black American men who are representing the culture. And that's something I can stand for. That's the reason why, the replay value, and in many ways, you're seeing a kind of intergenerational value to some of these songs that are these are beef songs. These are songs that are just a part of the back and forth between these two artists around their disagreement. However, one or two of these songs has really tried to plant a flag, using the old adage that I can't really always stand, but planting a flag in the soil around the image of Black American boys and Black American men who all too often people are allowed to put on parts of our image that they deem as socially acceptable in whatever current time, and gain benefits and social credit and social credos for taking on those pieces and parts without fully taking on the violence and the oppression that comes along with it. And I believe when he talked about the violence, I'm going to take a second to go that direction. When Kendrick was talking about the violence, you can't imitate this violence. I don't believe it was just the violence that is perpetrated by gang culture or, the violence in our communities. It's the violence toward our communities as well. like who we became or who we become as Black American men cannot be separated from the actual violence that we have experienced in America, intergenerational violence towards our communities, where Black American lives have not been valued throughout much of the American history, throughout all of the American history that we teach in our classrooms. There's been no other group that experienced terroristic lynching the way that we have, and know those stories. There's a story in almost every family of someone who, was found one day and was missing another day, that we just have to keep them in our memories. And that's the kind of stuff we're fighting for. We're fighting for that image that you can't duplicate, withstanding the terrorism of America, and just by showing up today. You can't just, pop in and out of the type of oppression that we are withstanding. And to think that someone can, just like any other identity, just like anybody else's shoes that we tell people to walk a mile in, we shouldn't take lightly that there's some people. Drake is just the biggest kind of archetype of those people who feel like I should be able to put this on when I want to, but I'm complex. I can live in all of the realities, and to one degree, I can believe that and understand that, but to another degree, there is some culture and history that goes along with culture that we cannot just overshadow for individuals to feel like they want to be a part of every group. And that's really what I appreciate is being fought for here. It took me a while to kind of think through this, because I didn't want to be just another person trying to add to a conversation and not really contributing much. But as it's kind of flushed out more, and I haven't watched too many videos on this, so I wouldn't say that I'm the only person speaking on this, but I wanted to add my voice to it, because I truly believe that we're at a time period with a lot of different individuals taking different approaches to exposing truths out here in the time post-pandemic. I cannot ignore that the image in which I do my research, Black male studies, there's a popular culture shift that is also taking place. Kendrick Lamar in the popular culture has a history of trying to, put his spin on, put his shaping on what it means to be a Black American man, especially as he came of age. We've seen his music kind of grow and mature, sometimes in ways that we did not expect, and we're not necessarily always prepared for. But it was by knowing the history of Black American music, he knew part of his responsibility was, to be authentic and remain, true to what we expect, but also to push us to new places and see where the music can go, where the music takes you. So I think this is interesting. I think this is something that I wonder how this will continue to play out. I believe that this has been good for the culture, similar to what we got with Tommy Curry and the Man Not, kind of shifting. It was a clear shift in how research and academics, education in different spaces had to talk about Black boys and Black men. There were some precursors to those that in different fields that were speaking along those lines, but as a complete package, it was ground shifting, and I think that's what I'm trying to say here about Kendrick Lamar and how he approached this. As people saw the concert, as people saw the concert, I feel like they started to really understand that this was not just Kendrick and his spite against Drake. This was bigger than that. This was something that was more unifying than that. And I think it was one of those things where, it was gatekeeping. It was reclaiming, hey, who's the culture? Like who's really part of the culture? Who's really going to be our mainstays in this cultural phenomenon that still captures the world? Black American music has always done this. I go so far as to say, Black American music is popular music. It is what, has, made music the money that it's made and propelled many of the industry to disperse music internationally. So our image as Black boys and Black men is something that we have to make sure we are allowed to narrate and be authors of, just like any other identity. And that's where I think this beef really should focus. And if you really listen deep, you will understand that's what he's really trying to carve out. Even his own. We could be critical of some of the images of Black men and boys. People are critical of his religious beliefs that he's put out there in his music before, but those have a historical place here in Black American culture, and he comes from a space that even has this kind of just recently, in the time period that we were growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, had a burgeoning Pan-African community. So when you have Pan-Africanism, Black nationalism in your childhood, and hip-hop culture, he talks a lot about his kind of personal relationship, with Tupac, even from afar. You're going to want to reclaim an image that you believe that other people cannot occupy. You're going to want to make sure that the image that you occupy cannot be occupied by those that you don't deem as authentic. And we've watched this as a long-term kind of gripe with inauthenticity. It's been deeper than just a personal one-on-one. It's always been a archetype versus archetype. Like or dislike his music and who he is an authentic representation of hip hop culture from a Black American man, while he feels like Drake may not be that same thing. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Just wanted to make sure I put my thoughts down around this conversation, of where Drake stands and where Kendrick Lamar stands, and really what's the purpose behind this. And I think that it's a good thing that we've experienced this kind of reclamation. I think we'll understand that more and more as this goes on, and we see things play out in popular culture. And there's going to be some good parts, and there's going to still be some parts that we have to contend with. I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for listening, as always. This is HiiiScholar, still clocking in. I'll probably see you guys either later on today or on tomorrow. You guys take it easy. As always, amazed but never surprised. Peace.